In the past few hours, the United States and Israel launched a series of coordinated attacks against targets in Iran, a large-scale operation that has shifted the news cycle and triggered alarms worldwide. Here is a direct, urgent, first-hand account of everything known so far about this escalation. The operation was meticulously planned, executed in broad daylight, with hundreds of missiles, stealth bombers, and synchronized electronic warfare. Authorities describe a campaign designed to strike command centers and structures that, according to the powers involved, were sustaining hostile actions against Western interests and regional allies. Viral images show buildings exploding, columns of smoke rising over Tehran, sirens echoing, and people running for shelter. There are reports of dozens of destroyed targets and high-ranking Iranian regime officials killed. Among the names circulating in official communications is that of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, one of the most powerful symbols of the Islamic Republic, whose elimination, according to sources cited by international outlets, was reportedly one of the central objectives of the operation. U.S. authorities confirmed direct involvement of American forces, arguing the action aimed to dismantle networks and prevent imminent threats. In public statements, President Donald Trump made clear there is no hesitation in using force when national security is at stake. The attack was not merely military, it was also symbolic. The choice of timing, a clear day with targets in session, signals an intent for immediate impact, to disorganize leadership and send an unambiguous message that continuing actions against allies will come at an extremely high cost. Experts interviewed by news agencies repeat that the strategy blends human intelligence, electronic surveillance, and the element of surprise. Reactions have been swift and varied. Crowds in some cities celebrated. In others, there were protests and outbursts of fury against foreign presence. Neighboring states reported missile salvos and infrastructure damage. Some military and regional installations suffered direct hits, amplifying the sense that the conflict is spreading. On the political front, Gulf nations mobilized diplomats and forces. The United Nations convened emergency meetings. European powers are calling for restraint, while paramilitary groups and Iran-aligned militias are threatening asymmetric retaliation. The risk of escalation is real, and at this moment, unpredictable. From a human perspective, the images arriving paint the same daily tragedy scene in every war: frightened civilians, overwhelmed hospitals, families calling names on the phone with no answer. There are reports of casualties in residential areas, collateral damage that serves as a reminder that behind military calculations are lives that cannot be recycled into statistics. Military analysts consulted by correspondents say they believe that, despite the initial impact, a prolonged ground war on Iranian soil is unlikely, at least for now, because there are no large land forces ready to occupy the territory. The tactic appears focused on degrading capabilities: air defenses, command centers, weapons production, and logistical lines. This type of strike aims to reduce the capacity for organized response, but opens the door to irregular retaliation, cell-based attacks, terrorist strikes, and proxy operations in border zones. The world is watching. Markets are swinging, diplomatic traffic is intensifying, and global leaders are calling for calm. Meanwhile, on the information front, the narrative is being shaped at breakneck speed. Social media flooded with videos, some real, others manipulated, and a constant stream of disinformation that makes it difficult to accurately assess what is fact and what is rumor. Fact-checking and caution are therefore essential. Analyzing the strategic logic behind the operation, 3 points stand out. First, the stated intent to eliminate decision-making nodes that were coordinating attacks. Second, the demonstration of joint capability between Western powers and regional allies. And third, the bet on initial shock to break the chain of command and reduce adversarial coordination. If this formula achieves its immediate objective, it may reduce future large-scale attacks, but does not eliminate the risk of decentralized actions that could unfold over years. On Iran's domestic front, the survival of the theocracy now depends on reaction and narrative. If the leadership proves resilient, It may reconstitute structures and respond in a controlled manner. If a sense of fragmentation grows, the country could spiral into internal instability, with unpredictable consequences for the region. And who, from the outside, stands to benefit politically from each of these scenarios is another piece of this dangerous chess game. Meanwhile, U.S. and Israeli allies in the Gulf face an immediate decision: deepen their support and allow use of their airspace, or attempt a more neutral stance to avoid being dragged into a larger conflict. Many are already showing signs of anxiety, and that is shifting alliances and agreements that seemed stable just weeks ago. There is also a technological risk. Cyber attacks and information warfare may accompany the physical strikes. Critical infrastructure, power grids, and communication systems could be targeted through sabotage in parallel with the missiles, extending the impact well beyond the strictly military. This brings non-state actors and private companies into the picture, suddenly making them part of the battlefield. Looking ahead means trying to read signals in a highly uncertain environment. Over the next 48 to 72 hours, watch 3 key indicators: movements of air forces in the region, official communications regarding ceasefires or negotiations, and signs of proxy attacks against Western interests outside Iran. These elements will determine whether the crisis moderates or intensifies beyond the control of the leadership on all sides. At the micro level of everyday lives, the questions are simple and devastating. Who will pay for the destroyed homes, the evacuated schools, the children kept out of class? How does a country or a city recover after explosions that wipe out entire neighborhoods? The answer is never purely military. It is social, human, and economic. We are witnessing a critical chapter in recent history. The operation that began as a series of coordinated strikes may redefine alliances, power networks, and the balance of forces across the Middle East. For those following along, the recommendation is clear. Stay informed through reliable sources, be skeptical of unverified videos and messages, and prepare for a rapid succession of news, much of it contradictory, until a clearer picture emerges. We will continue covering all developments. Stay alert, keep calm, and remember, in moments of crisis, responsible information saves lives. This has been our special bulletin. We'll be back momentarily with updates.